love it. I love it. I love it. Look at this. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
What's up, guys? Leighton here for UFC Gambling Addicts, coming at you with an episode of The Insight. So yeah, let's get started straight away. We've got the China card, Andrade versus Sang. As always, you know, this is just personally the way I'm leaning for Saturday morning. I'm not telling anyone to follow these opinions. If you didn't have this opinion already, then, you know, don't have this opinion now just because I spoke some words, you know. If you did have this opinion and you like what I say, you know, cool. But as always, I appreciate doing these episodes. So yeah, let's jump straight into it. So my underdogs for this card, I'm going to give you two names. I don't really expect this. I mean, I say this, but you know, the only thing predictable in MMA is it's unpredictable. So, but what I was going to say, I don't expect this to be the sort of card where there's going to be like half the card being underdogs. I'm talking 5, 6, 7 underdogs coming in. I'd be pretty surprised if there was any more than 4. So I'm going to give you two names and two names only. I'm going to go with Batgirl Dinar, and I'm going to take Da Un Jung. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Okay, so the reason why I'm going to be taking Batgirl, number one, his price opened at like minus 200, and I even liked him when he was like minus 150. So, you know, seeing him now at like plus 100, plus 105, that's a good sign. You know, you look at that matchup and it's, you know, it's pretty much a pick 'em. You know, I've watched tape on both sides, and yeah, that's going to be a hard one to call already. So the guy I'm leaning towards is now an underdog, so it would only make sense that I put a little bit of money on Batgirl Dinar. That fight also opens the card, and I think it could be an entertaining one, so hopefully he can come in. Da Un Jung. So, you know, the only reason I'm going to take this guy is purely because his price is pretty mad, you know, and I'm aware of his opponent, Ibrahimov. You know, we've all watched tape on him, I'm sure, and we see the sambo, we see the trips. Even his hands are pretty accurate, pretty powerful. So that's a close one itself. You know, obviously Ibrahimov could, you know, just grab a hold of Jung and just toss him around in there, and you know, it's just one-sided. But if it stays on the feet, Jung used to be a heavyweight, and you know, heavyweights hit hard, and he's cut down to 205. And at plus, you know, plus 220, 225, 210, you know, that's and it's starting to drop a little bit. It was a little bit higher than that. It was around the 250 mark. So a few people jumping on to that price, and in all honesty, you know, it's quite a smart thing to do because both guys are making their debut. Ibrahimov also coming in on short notice. I discussed this fight earlier on with someone in my betting group, and you know, he was taking Jung too, and he basically just said, you know, even if we're wrong here, the line is so far, you know, it's pretty wide that it's definitely worth taking a bet on Jung. You know, obviously if your most confident pick is Ibrahimov or nearly one of your most confident picks, then maybe don't even waste your money attempting it. But Ibrahimov isn't one of my most confident, and I'm liking that fight. I think that's a decent fight, so I'm going to take Jung at plus 220. Bit of a leap, but you know, I'll go for it. Okay, so moving on into parlay builders or finishers. I'm going to give you a parlay finisher for this week. I don't really like to. I'm not going to give anyone a name for, you know, who to build around. You know, put this guy in 3 or 4 parlays. I'm going to give you someone who you could finish your parlays on and have a good chance of making money, even if you lose on this guy. The guy's going to be Zaleski. So most of you now are thinking, what do you mean this guy's minus 300? How is this guy to be put in more than 1 or 2 parlays? Now, the reason for that is at minus 300, means the other side is going to be, you know, quite a fair underdog, and we have Jing Liang Li at plus 240, 228, 230, rising all the way to plus 245. So you know that's a big underdog, and we're familiar. We're familiar with Lee. You know he's not trash. He is a power puncher. You know the leech. He's the leech man. You know he could definitely pull this off. And seeing the price he's at, you know it's pretty far. It's pretty amazing. Like I said, I am going to take Zaleski. I'm very, you know, I'm fairly confident he can win this fight, but you know, if I was to end parlays, you know, say 3 or 4 parlays in Zaleski, and say 2 or 3 of them are coming in, it gets down to that fight. You know, Jing Liang, it's a decent cover at like plus 230, 240. Obviously, if you need to cover it, do cover it. If you can't cover it and you've lost a couple parlays, Zaleski is a good guy to put some confidence and some faith into. So either way, you know, it works. Okay, moving on into the most confident pick. It's always a strange one to make your most confident pick, because you know if you get that wrong and that's your most confident, you look a little bit silly. And I risked it a little bit last week. I took Anthony Pettis as my most confident, which, you know, credit to Nate Diaz, man. Credit to that guy. So this week, who we gonna take? My most confident pick this week, I'm gonna risk it again. I'm just feeling like this guy can have a fairly decent performance. He can fight his fight. It's gonna be Damir Ismagulov. Now, this guy was a former M1 champion. I believe he's had 2 fights in the UFC, and he's just looked really good in those fights. You know, he's just calm, composed on the feet, picks his shots, has a good outside and inside calf kick. You know, guys tried to grapple him in M1, it didn't work too much. I believe in his debut against Georgies, if I remember rightly, Georgies, you know, he had a bad time in that fight, just outclassed everywhere, basically. Who did he fight in his second fight? I believe it was Joel Alvarez. And he just dominated him. So I'm looking at this fight, and I said in my, the breakdown a few days ago that this is like a grappler versus striker, but that's quite an olden term to use, because in 2019... all of these guys they're more than one thing, you know. They're pretty well rounded, but I still feel that way. I still feel this is striker versus grappler. Thiago Moises would be smart to look to take it to the mat, and Damir would be smart to keep it on the feet, go technique for technique. Now, if he can keep it on the feet and go technique for technique, I believe he will have a decent performance and fight his fight. So for those reasons, I'm going to take Damir Ismagulov at minus 175 now. So his price has even dropped down a little bit. It was close to minus 200. He is minus 215 on one site, but for the majority of sites across the board, minus 180, minus 175, minus 172. I'm liking that price for Damir Ismagulov. So yeah. That's been your insight, boys. As always, appreciate you all. If you liked insight episodes, smash a like, leave a comment. You know, tell me your underdogs, parlay finishers, parlay builders, your most confident pick. And as always, you know, peace. Appreciate you all.